this is the part when you lose me. When I get home at night.
And you don't want it to be a Halloween song. Well, you singing it like Count Dracula. Why do you
Like
think?
literally Count Chocula.
Which, by the way, secret confession. Good morning, by the way, everyone. Secret confession.
Good morning.
Count Chocula is my favorite cereal of all time.
You remember Boo Berry?
Yes, it's still out. It's coming up too because Halloween now they usually put them all back in. Frankenberry.
And then what? Yeah, Frankenberry.
And then there's the one that like Wolfman one that's like fruity something. But Count Chocula is the best cereal. It is just sugar goodness. Oh my gosh, I love that cereal.
But here's the question. Does it turn the milk to chocolate milk?
Yes, it does.
Or does it taste like Tootsie Roll milk? I mean,
no, it's not Tootsie Roll. No, it's chocolate milk, and it is scrumdiddlyumptious. Oh my gosh, I could taste it right now. In the back of my mouth, I could taste the Count Chocula. That's the psychosomatic weirdo-ness that's going on.
Listen, I am having the breakfast of champions.
What in the world is that? What is that?
This is dragon fruit Red Bull.
Yes. First of all, Craig Fisher, love that you're here. And yes, Count Chocula. See, he's with me. This is why I like him so much. Come on. I don't know if Joe's here, but Joe, I want you to know I was thinking about you again all week because keep reading things about Zoom. Fight the good fight, Joe. Come on. Fight the good fight.
Listen, I love Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch cuts
with the berries.
Cuts the roof of my mouth when I eat it. It like slices into that stuff is like burnt styrofoam and it just cuts the roof of my mouth. It's painful. True. True stories. All transparent.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm glad everybody's here. Everybody.
Top tier Red Bull. Brandon, yeah. Good morning. Top tier Red Bull. Look at what Jackie's got.
That's
tier.
Right.
She's got bougie Red Bull.
Tier.
Here we are.
Uh-oh. Nicole says it's all chemicals. Friends don't let friends drink chemicals for breakfast.
Total chemicals. Tell her, Nicole.
Listen,
her.
I know. And this isn't even the worst of it.
No, it's like pouring Drano down your throat. What are you doing? I'm just saying. Listen, it'll flush you out, though. You'll be running for the back. 11:01.
I gotta get my steps in.
I got to go.
I will tell you, I had my final checkup with my doctor after my hysterectomy. I don't have to go back for a year.
Excellent. It didn't grow back, right?
It did not grow back. Well, I can't be sure because I ain't going in there. I just taking the word for it.
You know you are a modern medical miracle.
I was just walking around. She said, "How you doing?" I was like, just hanging out around here. Uterus free.
I mean, Craig, I will look at that link. Thank you for sending that. It would not surprise me, God forbid, but I have to tell you, if you got on this show on a Thursday and said, "Look, y'all, I got news. My uterus grew back," I honestly wouldn't be surprised because you are this like medical thing.
Right? I don't even know what I'm doing here.
I can't. Your body is like, I'll show you.
Double down. Absolutely. Double down. I'm like, people are going, "What are you doing?" My medicine. They're like, "What's that noise?" My Pyrin tablets. Listen, I'm afraid now. I've lost 40 pounds. I can't wait to see all the people. People aren't even. Y'all ain't ready. Y'all are not ready.
Really?
Yes, 40 pounds.
Because I haven't seen you. We've only seen each other in this virtual.
I know. In the box.
Well, when am I going to see you? HR Tech? What's the next?
Y'all going to HR Tech? Listen.
Of course. Come on.
I mean,
what else would we do when we're numbers 101 and 102? We have
in that order.
We have to still go.
We have to still go. I think we should go with our shirt. We should get shirts. I think mine's just going to say 101.
I'm telling you, I will do it with you, and I'll wear number 102. I'm absolutely going to do it. Robin 103. We're going to get Tin Cup 104. We're going to get everybody.
But on the back it should say, "But I'm not an influencer." But I don't influence.
But I'm not a leader, despite all the
Not a
followers.
leader.
Not a leader.
Despite all the followers.
I ain't bitter.
That's what it should say on the back. You're following me now. That's what it says on the back.
Yeah. Back up, boo boo. That's what's going to say on the back of my shirt. Back up, boo boo.
Back up, boo boo. Yes, Craig, we will be at Talent Net Live with our millions of fans. Yes. They're not even going to know what to happen. All y'all in Dallas, come on, take your drive up, hang out with us.
If you're in Austin, take a ride. Houston, take a ride. Come on.
Austin, come on up.
Come on up.
Oklahoma City, come on down.
Come on down. That's the right way to do it. Listen, we're going to be tearing it up there. But I guess that's the next time I'll see you in the flesh.
Look at Jamie. Despite the talk show about cereal and uteri, maybe we should change our name.
What, Jamie? Why
but
you got
first cereal and uteri?
First of all, how dare you now say that Jackie's going to spontaneously create multiple uteruses? I only was talking about one. Now you come at her with uteri. That's not cool. It's not. There's no,
makes me feel some kind of way.
Uteri mitosis. No such thing. No such thing.
You know what I found out the other day that there is? Quaternary twins. Did I talk about that last week?
No, what?
Twins. So some twins, married twins. They both had kids within 4 months of each other. They look identical. They did their DNA test. And of course, because twins married twins, it shows them as brothers and cousins. They're identical cousins.
That's scary.
They're called quaternary twins, and they're both named, like, one's named Peter and one named Pedro. I'm not even making that up.
That is weird. Because I'd be so uncomfortable. Like, how you know you're going home with the right person? I just want to say, how you know you ain't got the sister or the brother? You know what I mean?
Right? Twins and twins. Don't let them come on pickup.
Because they could be secret swingers in public. How about that? Secret swingers in public.
Secret swingers. That's what they are. Listen.
I mean, I love this. I love this. This is why, by the way, topically, this is why Jackie and I are the worst micromanagers in the world, because we can never.
ADD is too strong. The ADHD is too strong for micromanagers.
I'm here to check on your work. Oh, what's on your desk?
Yeah, I fully would macromanage if I could remember what we were doing. But I will tell you, I don't micromanage. And some people, though, think that's what you're supposed to do, to just manage. They call that management.
Yes.
They think that's what it is.
It is. By the way, let me make John Graham. We're so glad that you are here. And absolutely anything smut-tascular, I'm going to go there. So sorry about that. I learned early on in my career, and now I'm going to tell you, I learned my initial management tactics in the 80s. So let me have a grain of salt with this, please. It was all about micromanagement. Yeah. All about here's a name, the Iacocca leadership map, right? You remember, Lee?
Really showing yourself.
I am so old. That book is holding up one of my nightstands right now. Listen,
Iacocca.
I know some of y'all read that book. Don't act like you didn't, but
no.
It was about creating process for managers to be able to be like super transparent in everything that everybody was doing every minute of the day. And we called it, lean manufacturing, Lean Six Sigma. And you're like, hey, no lean, you're all over me to know.
That's right.
Right. And that's what I learned, truthfully. And so I felt badly because I wasn't a great micromanager. It's just, I'm not wired that way. And
No, I want to be able, we're adults. I want to be able to trust you. I want you to be able to do what you need to do in order to get that going. I tried it. The thing that happens, literally, I do have ADHD. I am neurodiverse. I do have challenges with it. And I do have to, I pivot a lot. And so when I meet with my team, it's like, okay, let's try to, these are the things that are coming up. Let's try to figure out how we can prioritize and put these things together. But I also don't want to have 25 meetings about 25 pieces. But I do, in order to not micromanage, I do give projects in smaller chunks so that we can get to the next step
yes,
rather than give people the whole project, because we might have to pivot so much, especially being a small company and working in a startup, the
yep.
state of the economy. There's things. Oh, look, somebody on Facebook is watching us. Sheila Jimenez. Good morning, Sheila
Hey,
Jimenez.
Sheila, good
We're
morning.
happy you're here.
You're so good. I don't pay attention to any of those symbols, and I really should. See, I don't attention to detail. I need to get better at it.
You need a micromanager.
Listen, Kat, my executive producer, she is not an attention to detail person. It is up to me, and that house is going to catch on fire, y'all, because we are missing out on stuff.
Mm-mm.
Like,
Listen.
who left this bag of chips here? Oh, wait a minute. I left that bag of chips here. Wait, that's
Speaking of which, our nest is empty again.
uh, I
Sweet baby TJ is back in college. Clay is in Berlin. And
first of all, Clay, those ads, holy guacamole.
right.
Holy guacamole. If y'all don't know, you're going to have to share stuff so that people can know on your page. I don't want to hear what they're going to say. Share it.
They are
And
fabulous if you're
they
looking
are
at it. Like,
fabulous. And if they call you and
fabulous.
give you grief, send them my way. Let me have words. But I
That's right.
mean, it's fabulous. You ought to share it.
They're fabulous. They're
Really.
fabulous. They're
Yes.
fabulous. I don't know if LinkedIn is the. Listen, we all got bills to pay.
Yeah. That's what I used to say in
It's Vince
college.
the same. They ain't gonna ask me at Nordstrom's where I got that money.
I ain't proud. I need the money. That was my motto in college. The truth is, when you, and because you were talking about households, right? I think
Yes.
sometimes the default management technique that some people have brought to work is really the same way that they try to manage their homes, right? So if in your home, you either were the victim of, and I'm using a strong word, the victim of a micromanaging parent. And that's how you grew up. Very helicopter oriented parent, always in your business, like every single thing, they were just on you. The kind, some of you really came from backgrounds where locks were taken off your bedroom door. Sometimes if you got in trouble, the hinges were taken off your door and the door was taken off. You didn't need, like, if that's where you came from, you are likely to act that way in a supervisory capacity at work because that's what you learned management was like, right?
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that. Like, there are instances where my executive producer is very laissez-faire, and I'll be like, he asked me one day, "What happened if you were late at home? Like, how did your parents react if you were late?" And I said, "We weren't allowed to be late."
No,
And he goes, "What are you talking about?" I was like, nobody was late, Todd.
nobody was late. No,
Nobody was late ever.
nope.
So he's like, "So it was time to church and your whole family got in the car?" Yeah. I was like, "You know what happened if you didn't get in the car?" I'll never forget. One time, my mom wanted to comb my hair, and I was like, "No, no, no." So he took me to church and walked around and said, they would look at me like, "Oh, what happened to Jackie?" My dad said, "That's how Jackie chose to come to church today."
Love that.
It's cursed me my whole life.
Your whole life. Listen, get your body to church. But
Yeah.
the other thing I'm going to say is,
And it was like,
it's scarring.
that's
Like,
what
'cause you're
happened.
like,
That's Jackie chose to look like that because Jackie chose to watch Captain Kangaroo instead of get their hair done. And the
not
thing
eventually.
that
Not
that
eventually.
made me think about it is that you do have the ability of doing those things. I want to see how you are going to work on your own so that I can work within your what's comfortable for you.
Yes.
And so I'm not going to micromanage
Well,
how you get to the end result, but I want to be able to trust you, and I will help guide where I think some things are unrealistic,
that's right.
or I'll give dates where something I need you to know that those things are more important,
Yes, totally.
or coach you so that you can look successful and make sure that you're getting not just from me, from the organization knows your work. I want people to get credit. I want you to be able to stand out. I want the team to be able to know that you're the person to go to and trust in you. Don't come to me so I have to micromanage.
Right. I think it's okay. The tension is usually, right, it's relational in nature. The
Yep.
tension is, as a manager or supervisor, we struggle um, because we think that the way in which we can express our power is the default can be micromanagement, because that's a clear way for me to show you that I'm leading all of this. I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, you got to be thoughtful about using the word leading. You're trying to manage. You're doing a poor job, but it's really management. It's not leadership. And then
That's
on
right.
the other side, as the recipient, to your exact point, I don't know about you, but I've had to deal with staff through the years, where if I wasn't micromanaging, I was a step back, let that person kind of run the race that they wanted to run, knowing what the end goals were. I'm giving them space to do that. And on evaluation, it's like, hey, you got there. Totally excited that you got there. Let's talk about some things that could have been streamlined, or resources that you didn't tap into that maybe would have shrunk the timeline a little bit. And immediately I'm met with tension. Why? You don't like the way I did it? Why? Whoa, right? Like, don't talk to me like for
Relax.
managing. You're
Right.
that those kinds of responses are because you're used to having a micromanager. That's not where
Right.
I'm coming from. I want your success to be as beneficial to you and as fluid for the work that you're trying to do. You don't know about these two resources I'm going to share with you.
Right.
If you knew about them, you'd be using them. So let me share with you what they are. I'm not all in your business. And if you ever take that tone with me again, pack your bag.
And that's the last time you're going to say that. I love what Samantha said over here. Micromanaging does not equal attention to detail. And that is the truth.
Yes. Yes. Although it smells like attention to detail.
It's, yeah, it's in the
Yes.
same room as
Right.
attention to
Right. And
detail.
if you are, but it's so good, because if you are a micromanager, quite frankly, dealing with other micromanagers, and this is a systemic problem in some organizations, your promotion management happens because someone who is a micromanager is wanting to promote other micromanagers because they know how to manage, right? That becomes the litmus test. Who is like me in the way in which they manage? I respond well to how Jackie does it. She's managing people like I manage people. This micromanagement, keeps going on. Well, if that's what's happening, then of course that's going to seem like attention to detail to everybody in the room, because you all do it the same way,
That's right.
right?
And I have to trust you. That's the thing that gets to me. It's like I have to trust you to be able to do the process, because micromanagement comes from a place of privilege. If you think that's what you have to do, it doesn't allow for people to have any work life balance. If the expectation is on vacation, they're going to call all of their people to make
Oh,
sure all these things are doing. You're setting a bad precedent for the full organization.
fully, totally. And
You
and
know,
if any micromanagers call in from vacation and their days off, or I'm only checking emails. Whew.
I did get in trouble. Listen, let me tell. I'm gonna tell one on me. I got in trouble. Well, I mean, trouble. You'll love
Trouble.
this. You'll
Wait, were
love
you
this.
fired?
No, no.
Oh,
Um,
did I tell you? Yeah.
but literally, I knew something was wrong because you match energy with energy, right? So this energy was coming towards me, and my boss was mad. And then I said, because I'm like,
Yeah.
"Are you mad? Are you mad?" So then my boss said, "I'm mad. Not only am I mad, I'm mad that you're not mad." And then I was like, okay, so I was confused before. Now I'm really
Really confused.
like,
Listen.
you have to know there's something really wrong. Because if my boss wasn't my boss, they'd be like one of my best friends. Like if they weren't my boss.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, wait a minute, hold up, hold up, hold up. And it was funny because it was like, oh yeah, let me go look at this thing. We were able to straighten it out, but I was like, I'm the worst. Like when somebody like when somebody's mad and wants you to be mad, and you're like, what? Like it was a total Kardashian moment where I was like, why are you so mad? That just made him madder. Like
And
the
especially
whole
when the
thing
response
was,
is, I'm mad that you're not mad. You're like, I don't feel mad.
I
What?
am I mad? Like I don't really tie into emotions very well. Because I'll be like, I hate everyone, and my therapist is like, everyone, and I'm like, yes, and they're
Um,
like, no, you don't. I'm like, but I
you
do. Like
right.
I'm not.
You tap into some emotion well. You get up from the table in the lounge to go to the bathroom, come back and somebody's in your seat. You are all tapped into your
Okay,
emotion.
okay, truth. I am tapped in, and they're real. They're just problematic.
You'll stand there for a minute and they're like, oh, did you want your seat back? You're like, no, that's all right. No, it's not all right. You better get
It's
up quick.
not. You know what? And you know what else? That's why you have to give, you have to be able to give feedback. I like instant feedback. I mean, it might not be
Yeah.
in like instant, but you need to give people as they go along. I don't know if that's a form of micromanagement, but I hate working on things for a really long time. And I usually do like when somebody asks something from me and I'm not real sure, I always want to do like 15 to 25% and be like, I need a pulse check.
Yeah,
Is this right? Am I doing this right? Are we on the same page? Because I don't want to do all this work, think I'm doing great, and find
absolutely.
out it was not what was expected,
Absolutely.
And then,
There are times where that work is that's part of the test though, right? Like part of
yeah,
the test is I've had managers who've said to me, especially early on when I was like, can I just check to see if this is, and they're like, no, I don't want you to check. Do it the way in which you think it needs to be done. And then we'll talk about it at the end. Oh gosh, that was so hard, right? Because you're like,
well,
oh,
especially when you're neurodiverse, like I literally could have heard all that wrong. Like the way that I'm feeling could be
right,
completely different, and
right.
the priorities are different. And what is happens a lot of times in management is also giving a task without explaining the impact to the business or how this goes into our strategic goals, our business goals, and then having people be like, not feel the sense of urgency.
Yes.
And so we don't set the expectation and say, I know this seems really small. Let me tell you the impact and why this is so important. Let's talk about what we hope, what this will turn into, you know? But
Yeah.
now that I think about it, and if Rachel's in the chat, Rachel will know because um, Rachel reports to me. But one of the things I do to Rachel is the same thing I do to my executive producer, where I'm like, let me give you a chunk. And then when you're done with that, I'll give you the next chunk. If you're done with that, I'll give you the next chunk. Because if not,
Yeah.
stuff will be all over the place. I'm like,
Yeah.
I need you to cut celery and onion and carrots. I'll turn around and have a whole potato salad. I'm like, that's not what we're making.
Well,
We are
but
not
that's the
making.
other thing too, is like, isn't it okay that he made potato salad? Like, what hill are we really wanting to die on for these things, right?
In marriage,
Every hill.
I
But
will die on the potato salad hill. But
every but you know what I'm saying? Like we tell people, we're like, look, use these things, and they use them and they create this thing, and you're like, well,
oh,
that's not what I
that
want you to do,
right,
right? And
right,
now they're defeated. And it's like
right.
you're doing it. Can you look at it for a second and say, ooh, wait a second. I told you to use this, this, and this. In my mind, I had something totally different that would come as a result of you using these resources. You came up with this other thing. Tell me how you saw that. I didn't even see that. Tell me how you saw it. It ought to lead to some good conversation like that, right? That's
That's right.
as opposed to micromanaging would be, no, that's not how I wanted you to use it. And the person's upset because they're not a mind reader. Well, I didn't know that's exactly how you just told me to use these things. Like,
Right. You have to be clear.
yes, yes,
But we have to also, the thing that is happening, and we're about to put out a report, the opposite, especially from a DIE, what is it? I don't even know.
IB, do you
DI,
know? Do you know what you do?
GQT. No, but that thing that I do,
This,
it's really important.
stay tuned, everyone. We have a new DQ report coming out.
This is DQ country. That's what we say in Texas. I don't know if they have that everywhere else. But the thing is, it's like a lot of times you'll see the opposite when you are managing someone who's not like you.
Oh yeah.
White people,
Yeah.
they don't want to manage the black people, so they just don't say anything, and then they get mad and say you're really not doing your job for the annual, and like you haven't ever done your job. And I know I said that you were doing a good job, but I didn't mean it.
But I did mean it, and I waited 12 months to tell you that you weren't doing a good job. Now, come on. Why?
And then they're like, go back and sit in the pod of like exclusion and say, Johnny's just not doing their job. I don't feel like they're doing. You're right. I've been watching Johnny. Have you sat down with Johnny? Well, I told him what we needed, but he's just not doing it.
Yes. Yeah. And you're like, well, what did you tell Johnny?
I told him to do his job.
Right. How could he not understand that? Well, how did you help him to know? I love promotion is my favorite thing. Honestly, even more so than kind of coming in fresh, like someone external that's hired into a role directly. When you promote someone within, I mean, it is one of my favorites when people are like, I just don't know if we made the right move promoting so-and-so. Why? They're just not doing their job, the job that needs to be done. What is the job that needs to be done? A, B, C. Okay, totally understand that. When you spoke to Mary about A, B, and C, what did she say to you when you went through that kind of lets you know that maybe she didn't understand it all? Well, I mean, she should have saw who was here before to be able to know why. Why would you think that Mary spent her workday before when Susan was in the position just all day long at her cubicle, just looking at Susan and the way she does her job and taking everything in? Why? Wouldn't you gotten mad at Mary for not doing the work that she was supposed to do because she's daydreaming, watching Susan do hers? Someone needs to sit and explain to somebody, yes, we know you're comfortable here. You've been here for a couple of years. We're so excited to promote you. Here's the standard that we'll be looking at when we look at the role that you're now taking on. Let's be clear. That's not micromanagement. You're setting expectations. So those of you that fight micromanagement because we love swinging that pendulum, you push it so far the other way, you don't tell anybody anything. Well, that's not helping anyone either.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. I mean, and sometimes, giving people, like, it doesn't mean so hands off that people feel like they're in a silo and they feel like they're alone because they're making up their own narrative.
Yes.
But they just made up a whole story for you. I was talking to somebody and I was like,
for and about you, by the way. They're making a whole
story
about you. Yes.
I said, did you talk to your boss? They're like, I don't ever know where my boss is. I was like, okay, now let's talk about what the real issue is. Like, you need to write that down. I don't even know where they are.
Well, I just did the emoji face.
It looks like yeah, you have to have the right around the eyes. Yeah, I saw that. Because we have to be really clear. And there are times where it's like, you don't want to micromanage, but you do have to set parameters and you do have to set expectations. And if you see things going sideways, you got to pull people back and you have to say, listen, this is gonna. I like telling this story because sometimes life is just like that. When I was pregnant with Clay, I had pneumonia at the beginning of my pregnancy. I had double pneumonia in both of my lungs. And so as a result, you cough. One day I was leaned over and I coughed, collapsed to the ground, couldn't move. Todd had to call 911. 911 comes over and they're like, we need to get you on the stretcher. I'm on the ground, like my legs wouldn't work. And I couldn't tell what was going on. And he looked at me and I'm crying. I'm in pain. He looked at me and then he looked at me right in the face and he goes, okay, this is going to hurt. But I got to get you up on that stretcher. And it stayed with me forever because at that point it was like, this isn't going to feel good, but you have to do this or else we're not going to be able to move forward. And flash forward to now where there are times when I'm looking at my team and I'm like, okay, we got to sit down and have a conversation. And I just need to let you know, this is going to hurt.
This is going to hurt.
What I'm about to say is going to hurt. Number one. Number two, I promise if there was an easier way to get here or a different way that I saw that we could get here, I would use that.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, put an exclamation point on it. That's leadership versus management. Right? Because your understanding where we're moving towards is going to hurt. And I'm not fearful of the hurt. If I wanted to manage, I'd manage the circumstance so the hurt isn't happening.
That's right.
Instead, I'm leading the person.
Yes.
So I'm walking through it, and I'm walking through it with you. This is going to hurt. Let's sit down.
And I always say, embrace the suck. Like, I need you to know this moment. They use it in the military a lot, like embrace the suck. Brene Brown talks about embrace the suck. And, Brene, we're boos. Our boo, Brene. But you have to sit in it.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to sit in it for a minute. And you need to feel that in order to make the change. Because I need you to remember this moment so that we don't get back here. And as we start going in this direction, you're going to start feeling it and you're going to right yourself.
And
that's why I need you to manage yourself.
And I want to be facilitated in my consideration to know I don't want to go back to what's happening now. So when the slide starts happening, to your point, all you got to do is just say, hey, it's starting to slide. I'm going to be like, yeah, okay. I don't want to go back to where we were. So let me course correct in an easier place than having to go all the way back to where we were. That's not micromanagement.
Right.
It's not. If you find yourself having the same conversations with people about things that are either super job related or policy related, if you are at some, especially for those of you that are working fully on site, if you have to be in a position as a supervisor where you're talking to the same person 3-4 times a week about being 5 to 10 minutes late coming to work, that you are being put into a micromanaging position, and it's going to affect the way in which you approach all of your management. Nip that in the bud. Listen, Mike, we've talked about this 3 or 4 times now. This is when the shift starts. It means you're ready for work at 9 o'clock, not coming in at 9:05, scratching your rear end and getting a cup of coffee. That's not what it means. It means you're ready to work at 9 a.m. Do you understand? I'm not going to have this conversation with you again because you're making me micromanage and I'm not interested. You're an adult. I'm an adult. Get here and be here for work on time. Unless you tell me something else is going on, which I've asked you 6 or 7 times and you're telling me no, you just have a hard time getting up in the morning. This is what this job requires. Are you cool with me? Because I don't want to live in this micromanagement anymore. We've got to get better at having these conversations and
the future, right? Because it goes on like this. Let me tell you what's going to happen the next time. Like, I'm just going to lay this out because I'm not going to micromanage you. The next time this happens, and then the time after that, you're gone.
You got to go. You got to go because I can't live.
The thing that is what is scary is anticipation of what's going to happen. So I'm just gonna let you know how this is going down. Yes. And then sometimes it's like, okay, boo-boos, I just came out of a meeting. Let me tell you what they didn't say. They didn't say that anything's wrong, that they're in trouble. But let me say what they did say. Things are happening that are unexpected. So this is how we're going to respond here to make sure that this doesn't impact our department in a negative way. This is what I need from you. This is how I need you to show up in order to make sure that we can stay together as a team.
If you want, this is why, now I'm starting to feel the intensity. This is why people hate HR. Let's be super clear about it. This is why, because we will sit in this micromanaging position. Page 34, you refer to your handbook, says
5-1A.
You're going to get 2 points now from in our lateness policy about that. If my life is all about reference points in the handbook, I got to be put out to pasture somewhere. Make glue out of me. Let's call it today, because I can't live in that. I don't want my existence to be
No.
about page and policy number. If that's what HR is doing, I'm not saying it never has to come up, but if it's the majority of what you default to, because why? It's comfortable. I don't have to extend myself. I can just always refer to the book. The book is supposed to support you, not be what you're supporting. You had this the wrong way.
Like,
that
then people say, oh, I'm going to put you on a PIP. And now you want to actually freaking manage. Bitch, you should have been done, stretch this PIP out the whole last quarter of saying what you want and what you expect. This is the first time you looked at that person's work in the last quarter.
I'm going to put you on a PIP. Let me tell you what it is. If I got to use a PIP, it's poop.
That's where Gladys Knight isn't part of it. I ain't doing it.
That's the only PIP I want to hear from. Whoop,
right.
whoop. That's all I want. Right?
Midnight Train to Georgia. Getting on the Midnight Train to Georgia.
I don't know if you watched that video, and now I forget who it was. Shoot, somebody senior HR from some company, somebody watching I know is going to be able to.
Literally, are you listening to yourself? Somebody somewhere, HR, somehow.
Well, let me finish. He talked about the fact that if you're being put on a PIP at your workplace, it's over. Just look for the next job. Because statistically, the amount of people who are put on PIPs that actually make it through the PIP is small, super small. Somebody knows. This video was just out a couple weeks ago from somebody, and it's true. If I'm managing 4 or 5 PIPs as the HR leader, come on. Number one, what are we pipping?
And it's you here. If you got to put 4 people on a PIP, the problem is you.
Or the policy. What is it that I'm getting? If I've got 4 people on a PIP, 3 are from the same department, well, what
you
is
ain't doing your job. What's going on in that department? Yes. And it's usually the ists and isms. It's one of those.
Yes.
Right? I mean, it just is one of those. It's the ists or the ism, misogynist, racist, sexism. It's one of those that's going on in most cases. And the thing that's funny is you got to go people and be like, okay, low key, everybody black and brown is in trouble.
Yes.
I mean, in the meantime, you don't even know what the other people in the majority are doing, but they make you feel more comfortable, like you have more control.
It's weaponizing it, right? I love what Wendy. Hi, Wendy. I love what Wendy wrote, that she worked for a company that used PIPs to get managers to document. Now, if you're using a PIP to get a manager to document, that's not what a PIP is for. I'm not blaming Wendy when I say this. I'm saying, like, she's right. Because when you use it as a weapon, you can't be surprised that people don't respond well. You don't come at people with a PIP like, well, you're in trouble now, and expect people to be like, oh my goodness, I see the error of my ways. Let me repent and move forward. That's
I hate people. Look, I go to the Church of Jenny Stone. PIPs are intended to help someone be successful. And that's why I'm saying you should have implemented in your head this PIP last quarter.
Yes. It's a
take somebody through these steps.
Improvement plan.
This is what I'm expecting. And give them all the resources. Give them the autonomy. Show them where to go. And then if they aren't doing it, but you think they can't, if not, it's like grounding yourself. Like you're not doing, you have to know exactly why. And part of that isn't micromanaging, but even just partnering. And then what I like to suggest is that you do it yourself to figure out if something's going on. Let me try to make these phone calls. You're supposed to make 100 phone calls a day. You're only making 30. Let me try to make 100 phone calls. Is there something that I'm using to help me make that more?
Yes.
Is it experience? Is it time? Or do you go, uh-oh? Or that's why I got in trouble when I got in trouble because we're looking at the wrong thing. Then when we looked at it, it was like, oh, whoops, we were talking about 2 different things. And it really could be as simple as that, but you're blaming it on somebody's behavior because you didn't know the copy machine's broken.
And 100%. And what is the goal of making 100 calls a day? Don't lose sight of that. I'm not
That's
giving
right.
100 calls a day grief, but if the goal is we want you to make 100 calls a day, because research tells us if you make 100 calls a day, 3% of those will turn into deals. I don't know, whatever it is that the result is. So 3 out of 100, if you make 100 calls on average, will become sales deals for
That's
the
right.
company. Okay. Here's Joe making 30 calls a day, and we're like, whoop, where's that PIP form? Let's go. We got to get Joe on a PIP. He's only making 30 calls a day. But if we look at Joe and say Joe's making 30 calls a day and getting 3 sales,
right. 10 are active working deals right now.
So is the goal, yeah, I know he's closing deals, but he's not making 100 calls. Well, what is the goal? Do you want me just to keep people busy by making calls, or is it to actually get sales? Because if Joe can do 3 sales out of 30 calls as opposed to 3 out of 100, like we're saying the average is, sounds like Joe is doing a pretty good job to me. Why are we putting Joe on a PIP? Right. This gets lost. I know this sounds so common sense, but I got to tell you, you and I both know in organizations how often the point gets lost. We just care about the step instead of the point of the steps.
Because the thing is, it's like when you start seeing performance going down, there's usually something else that's going on within the culture that you may not be aware. It's a policy or whatever. And the thing is, we're trying to be innovative in the space. We're looking for these diverse teams. We're trying to invite people to come as they are and then try to change them and get mad if they don't mimic what I see in the mirror, then you're not valuable to me. And so it's very difficult. You have to take the time to make sure that your team shines in the ways that they can, what's realistic and what's not realistic. It doesn't have to be your way as long as people understand what the goal is. That's why you have to be able to sit here, and the importance of it, because sometimes, people are like, but I'm turning the widgets. Yeah, but we got to stop turning the widgets. I know your job is to turn the widgets normally. I need more from you than the widgets.
Yeah. And here's why. Here's why. Yes. Listen, this is why, again, this whole pendulum swinging thing, we get so frustrated because we don't want to be micromanagers that we throw out all kinds of detail-oriented, instruction because we feel like that might be construed as micromanagement. It isn't. Give people a pathway. If you don't help them to understand we spend a whole lot of money. Now, you want to talk HR tech for a second. Let's get there. We spend a whole lot of money in this country on HR technology. A whole lot of money. All organizations across the board spend a whole lot of money in HR-related technology. Payroll systems, management systems, applicant tracking, learning management. Think about all the systems assessments, all kinds of systems that you use, SaaS-related products. If you had a tool that you weren't using well, that you're paying for, it's not unreasonable for your VP of Finance to say, hey, HR, what's the return on the applicant tracking system? Is it really helping you to manage the talent acquisition process? If you didn't have a good answer for that, then it's reasonable for you to sort of get in trouble for not having a good answer. Then why would we feel like people should be treated with any less dignity than software?
Right. Ooh.
Why
that
would we
again?
do that way? We're so good at it, though. We're happy to speak trash about people, but if the system's not being used well, we're like, we got to get better at it. Why don't we say that about Kristen or or Jill, right? Or Bob?
I know Jill has the skills.
Yes.
How can I make sure that we're using all of Jill's skills in a positive way? And sometimes there are challenges. I feel like, but you have to have these real conversations. I don't know if you remember, so Textio, we put out that report. We put out that report about feedback at work. We just started looking about, and then we just put out the report about diversity, equity, inclusion actually going up instead of going down. And then we're about to put out this report. It's going to blow people's minds. And it's like, listen, we are able to tie feedback back to attrition and who's getting the worst feedback and who do you think gets put on these pips or asked to leave the company and how that relates to feedback, setting expectations and making sure they have what's needed in order to be successful.
And this is research you were a part of, right? You are a
Yeah, yeah,
part of
yeah.
it,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. Yeah,
And
it's coming out this week.
is this research intended to influence the way in which we do things in our organizations?
Yeah.
So it's
Damn it.
fascinating because you know
Because
influencer.
we're
I don't
like,
know if you got the update.
listen,
You ain't
your
no influencer.
your is and isms are showing. Unfortunately, I have no influence. But if I did,
Such a jerk. I
I
am
would
the
tell
jerk.
you.
I
And
am.
I was like, I'm getting pissed off because I was like, listen, people try to call people and say, it's your unconscious bias. No, this is how you discriminate against your team. That's
First
what
of
you
all,
need to know. When
if
you're
I
looking at
show
it, it's
you,
like,
if I show you, it's not unconscious. You now see it. So
it's
stop.
conscious. It's like boo boo. How come all the women on your team, 50% of the women on your team, you have said are not
Oh,
successful? Let's look at their feedback. This one doesn't smile enough.
mm.
This one, you don't think talks to enough people.
Yeah.
This one you called catty.
Or wait a minute, my favorite. This one you called bitchy, and I'm like, oh,
And this
I
one you
love that.
criticize for having
Yeah.
to leave to take care of their children.
Too aggressive. Ooh, let me see all the ones that you wrote up on the guys. Let me see if I ever see the word aggressive in any of the ones that.
No, because they don't want to get hit.
First,
I wish somebody would go up to my executive producer
I
and be like,
wish.
"You're aggressive."
Right?
First
First
of
of all,
all,
he's so laissez-faire.
he's
We're
like
blessed when
not
he puts
aggressive.
clothes. It's a
Right.
blessing when he gets dressed. Honest to God,
Listen,
he would go to the HEB naked. He
he
would.
would.
Oh,
He would.
he
He'd
should.
be like,
I,
aggressive.
for- oh, I didn't put any clothes on. Oh well. Where are those
Like,
Fruit
why
Loops?
don't we talk? Can we
What?
talk about my aggression over lunch? Like, maybe we should. First
No.
of all, second
First,
of all,
first of all,
no, you wouldn't. Right? Like, unless you want to get hurt, you wouldn't say those things.
it is fascinating to me as we talk about this micromanagement, the lane that we have allowed people to micromanage in. If we're allowing micromanagement to be heavily influenced by personality, then shame on us as managers within the organization. Not shame on the people we're
Turns out.
rebuking, right? Not shame on the people we're rebuking. Shame on us for allowing person. Now, I'm not saying everyone's personality works for every job in the country. That's not what I'm saying. But if it's often relegated to matters of personality, then our job is to sit with people with that personality and say, how do we best align your responses, your considerations of circumstances and situations, your approach to resources and materials that you have available to you here at work, so that the right context is received by those that you're trying to serve. Because I know you have the skill, you have the competencies to get this done, but the personality has been allowed to be a distraction because of the clients that we support, right? Let's just say. How do we turn that around so that your personality is actually really positive in the context of how you're bringing these resources to bear? That's my job as a
Right.
manager, not to just say, ooh, she's got issues with how she talks to people.
Listen, I had a team. Everybody every day would call me wanting to fire the other people.
Oh my gosh, yes. I've been on those. You're like,
Everybody trying to fire everybody. And I'm like, I need you to know I'm not firing this person. I've
yes.
heard what you said.
Yeah.
Let's keep working. Let's keep working. And then the next thing you know,
It's like, I mean, the struggle for me is in those circumstances, why do you want me to fire the person? Because they're a problem. Define the problem. They're all over me. They're always looking at my work. I mean, I've had people call to say they were claiming harassment, and I'm like, okay, let's talk about this. How has that manager been harassing? And some of you've heard me say this story before. They're at my desk, my cubicle desk, every morning waiting for me. What? Every morning. Why? They're all in my business. Okay, wait. Literally not to anybody else, only to you. Yes, John, I'm telling you, standing at my cubicle, waiting for me every morning. It's harassing and I'm uncomfortable. Well, I understand that. Can I ask a couple of practical questions? Absolutely. What time do you arrive at your cubicle? 10 after 9? And what time are you supposed to be there? I'm supposed to be working by 9, but okay. Let's try an experiment for this week. How about you get there before 9 so that you're ready to work at 9, and then let me know if the manager is continuing to just wait for you at your cubicle. Miraculous. The manager stopped waiting for the person at the cubicle. I'm like, okay, see this, I know we just want to throw these words, harassment, and that. Let's make sure, because there are real people who are going through real harassment, that we're just not using these terms because you think that's going to get me to act. If you had come to me without even using that word, but talking about the same circumstance and situation, we would have come up with the same solution. So I'm not worried about the verbiage. Let's talk about the circumstance. I'm not going to micromanage. I'm not texting you at 8 a.m. to make sure you're on the train to get here to work. That's micromanaging. You're not going to get that from me. You got to be able to manage your own time.
Look, this is what.
Yes, I saw that. Thank you, John, for sharing that. That's good.
I do love that. It's unconscionable. Let me tell you, that is a good one. And let me tell you about my not unconscious bias. I ordered $75 worth of cinnamon rolls to be shipped to me.
Wait, what?
$75 worth of cinnamon rolls yesterday.
You ordered for yourself?
Consciously.
I don't believe that. Why did you?
I did. I don't know.
From where? First of all, from where?
From this. You want the address? I'll bring it. They're in Dallas. We should swing by. There's this bakery called like Row something in Dallas, and because I wanted some Parker House rolls. You ever been in the Parker House?
No.
In Boston? It's an Omni Hotel now, but the Parker House Hotel, the Omni Hotel, it's home of the Parker House rolls. So I wanted some Parker House rolls. And then my friend said, come to Boston. And I said, oh, but I feel like I should order some Parker House rolls, even though I live in the middle of nowhere. And then I went to order the Parker House rolls, and then they had cinnamon.
Can we do, you know what? I just had a great idea. And I don't know if Craig is still on. Maybe for TalentNet in Dallas, you think they'd sponsor, because we're kicking things off with we should see if they would sponsor us with cinnamon rolls for breakfast that morning.
Because delicious.
With coffee.
Ice cream and cinnamon rolls? Listen, we're all about it. We are all about it.
Why are you here? Why you do this?
Nicole is just trying to make us.
I mean, I can't. I already am running 3+ miles so I can keep my sveltness the way it needs to be. Your sveltness.
And I'm not. Look. My watch, I have lost 40 pounds.
I mean, don't act like you know what I mean?
Listen, that's a lot of pounds.
Ooh, Craig said we can certainly try. Good. Let's do it.
I will. Oh, John said when I come to Dallas, I'll have cinnamon rolls.
John, you come see us at TalentNet. Before you're there at TalentNet, come in person. We would love to. We're going to be doing all kinds of fun things.
I do have some stuff going on. We should tell people in the last 5 minutes where we're going to be before we close with the moments that are going to change their life. I am going to be in Atlanta. I don't know if Brian Fink is still here. I'm going to be in Atlanta. We need to have cocktails on the 11th. I'm staying. Where am I staying? Somewhere in Atlanta.
Where are you going? What are you doing?
Not the 11th. Yeah, it is the 11th. September 11th, I will be at the Fortune Initiative event.
Okay.
I know Stacey Abrams going to be there, my best friend.
I mean, just saying, for a non-influencer.
It's not stalking. We're friends. It's called a parasocial relationship, Stacey. It's not stalking when we have a relationship, even if it's parasocial. And I'm standing there with the book by the elevators waiting for Stacey Abrams to come in. I will be there. Oh, cool. Jenny will be there. Listen,
Yay!
come and see me.
has 2 locations. Just so everybody knows, she doesn't mean herself personally. Jenny is leading all of. Am I right, Jenny? Iron Hill, right? Brewery. You're doing all those stores. I hope I'm right, Jenny. If not, correct.
Jenny, where is it? Because that's where we should meet to have cocktails on the day before, and we can all meet and then just invite the whole Atlanta crew.
I mean, not that I'm stalking Jenny either. I know that
Certainly, we don't have stalkers on the LinkedIn But First Coffee that will end up, I might have gained up 40 pounds. I don't want people
while
picking me
you're
up.
there, I will actually be in the Philadelphia area, and I am speaking on September 7th. That Thursday evening, I will be doing. Oh, y'all! For those of you who are HRCI certified, just get ready. I'm delivering business credits approved for you SPHR people. That evening, September 7th, as I look at the calendar, in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, outside of Philadelphia, talking about strategic planning.
That's just across the bridge, right?
Just across the bridge. So Tri-State HR, because our buddy BJ Anderson will be inducted as president.
BJ. I can't believe that.
So Madam President will be installed that evening. So
that's great.
Website, right?
I'll be at Workday Rising. Is anybody going to be at Workday Rising? I mean, listen, I'm going to Workday Rising.
Are you speaking at Workday Rising?
No.
You're just going.
I'm going to Workday Rising.
I wanted to come to RecFest. I'm really bummed. I really was trying to make it work. I just have so much going on. But Robin Schooling and Jamie from Humoriso will both be there at RecFest. So look for them. And I know the godfather of recruiting will be there. With full hat. Yes. So Jerry's there. And wine. And a Winnebago.
To be sure. So we have to have all these things. Put it in the chat where you're going to be and what's coming up. We're about to have conference season. Yes. That means that we will be doing the best we can from all of these different locations. And if you're looking for
Uncle Jerry, that's right.
If you're looking for people to come speak at your event and you would like the 2 non-influencers, 101 and 102, to be there.
Because this is like, I'm the bitter one. Please don't Jackie, this is me. So let's make sure it's clear. Just another one of the, top 100 lists come out. And y'all know, you've heard me say this forever, that I'm never in the top 100. I'm always like 101, 102. I just know it. And this year, however.
And usually I'm 100. Like, I skate in.
This year, though, someone, since I'm never on it, I'm not going to say a name, but I think it'll be pretty obvious. Someone who is leading But First Coffee was dropped from that top 100. And so I'm feeling some sort of way about that. And so my bitterness is creeping through.
But that's what a good best friend would do.
I'm feeling some sort of way.
We're protesting.
We are protesting, and I'm wearing that shirt.
And I'm wearing that shirt.
I'm wearing that shirt. And
on the back, it's going to say, but who's following who?
On my back of my shirt, it's going to say, back up, boo-boo. Watch.
We'll get kicked out for life. We won't be able to go anywhere.
What's it going to cost me? What's it going to cost me?
I'll got nothing to lose.
I'll be doing my own HR tech at the pool. Come bring your computer to the pool.
Oh, I love you.
I love you too. This was actually, I honestly think there are people who are listening today who needed to hear us talk about micromanagement, truly, because it is something that people can slip into unintentionally. So I hope it's kind of been a little bit of a wake up for some folks.
We should get But First Coffee shirts for HR Tech is what we should get.
We'll have But First Coffee shirts. It's still going to say back up boo-boo on the back.
It's going to say back up boo-boo on the back.
Well, we all have all kinds, and I know
you can either order a 101 or 102. It'll be our joke. All of our shirts should just say I'm number 101, or just have 101 on the back.
We're going to have some other friends with us there who also have been dropped from the list. So we're
all going to wear them. I'm number 101 on the front, and then on the back, it's going to say back up boo-boo and a cup of coffee on the front. And it'll be our secret joke.
People will hit. I mean, what's it?
Nobody will know. Y'all can't tell anybody. Our millions of fans. You wait, and you can buy one. We're all gonna buy one, y'all. This is gonna be.
We need to have, by the way,
fabulous.
we need to have Workday. While you're at Workday, tell them to sponsor us that morning at HR Tech to do But First Coffee at their booth. So make sure you talk
Jamie said I joined a root beer club.
Ay, ay, ay.
Our But First Coffee list.
We love y'all. Thank you so much for being with us. Jackie has her Drano, and I have coffee.
Click, click.
Click. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.